Okay, we're going to do Johnny Depp. We're not going to do Johnny Depp. We're going to cover Johnny Depp. Can already see your hair is taking a toll with the humidity. Guidestone's gone, making lots of progress behind the scenes. Okay. All right. Let's just do Johnny Depp's story a little bit. The Amber Heard perjury thing. Everybody's saying Amber Heard is now being investigated for perjury. And a lot of people, myself included, at the initial hearing of this story, thought it was perjury either for the trial now, for the trial in the UK. Her perjury is totally irrelevant to anything other than a testament to what an awful human being she is. Her perjury relates to her allegedly having smuggled her two dogs, Boo and Gun, or something that had to do with Pew and Gun, whatever. Their two dogs into Australia in 2015. And the reason why they had strict quarantine laws when it bringing in foreign dogs, foreign animals, she allegedly didn't fill out the papers properly. It fell through the cracks and she forgot to announce it. It was no malice. She paid a fine and that was it. In the UK trial, one of the witnesses, who was an employee of Amber Heard, said, no, she threatened me with my job to lie about smuggling the dogs in, which then led to the realization that she perjured herself and lied to the Australian government back in 2015. So it's not directly related to anything of the trial. It's just related to the fact that Amber Heard is a liar, a perjurer, and that she would threaten people with their employment if they would not lie for and on her behalf. Not related to the trial. But it's been going around, making the rounds to evidence what an awful person Amber Heard is. What's been going around now of the interesting stuff is the 40-plus page motion to set aside the verdict that Amber Heard, through her attorney, have filed. So, by the way, Amber Heard might be bankrupt, but they've still got this one last hurrah. They filed a 40-plus page motion to set aside the verdict, which is nothing more than re-arguing the entire case that was pleaded before a jury of, it was 9 or 7, and decided by that jury. And no thanks. No thanks. There's not really much of interest in it. We're going to go through the motion very quickly just to read the headers, because the headers are basically the bullet points, and then it's just verbal diarrhea to make a 40-page document look legitimate. Amber Heard's lawyers it's the part about the Juror 15 that's very interesting, and I think it might be something more of a red herring of interest. The Johnny Depp and Amber Heard defamation trial might technically be over, but with each passing day, it's becoming clearer. We're not even close to legal resolution. On Friday, Heard's attorneys filed a 43-page motion in an attempt to get the court to overturn the more than $10 million ruling. Was it 10 million? It was 5. Oh yeah, and then there was that's right. It was 10. It was 5, and then there was like 5 million punitive, which was reduced to 335,000. So it was 10.3 million. But Johnny Depp got ordered to pay her 2 million, so it was an 8.3 net. But that's the in the same filing, Heard's team admits jury panel errors aren't ordinarily grounds for getting a verdict overturned, but they claim there's a possibility jury 15 isn't who he says he is. Wait until you see this, people. It's kind of interesting. Okay, I'm gonna star that. Star this. Let's read the. Just skim through it. Motion to set aside the verdict. Are we looking at the same thing? Look at this. Look at this. By the way, it's got to be long, and it's got to be lengthy and tedious to justify the cost. How do I get rid of? There we go. Okay. Let's just get to the intro of this. I cannot stand reading legal documents. Defendant and counterclaim plaintiff Amber Heard's post-trial motions. Defendant, yada, 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 hereby moves this court to set aside the jury's verdict on all 3 counts. Complaint, to dismiss the complaint and to investigate potential improper juror service. It's very interesting. The grounds are set up in this memorandum. Let's just go see it. Very thorough. Very thorough. Lots of case law, lots of jurisprudence. Forget the fact that there was a 6-week trial. They argued all of this garbage. And the jury said, no mas. Now they're just let's just re-argue it and try to get a judge to set aside the jury verdict. From what I understand, immensely difficult, barring, it happened in Rafikian. It happened in Michael Flynn's partner's case where the jury found him guilty and the judge set aside the motion. Because they said no jury ought to have come to that conclusion in the first place. So it happens. My understanding is it's exceedingly difficult to happen. From the beginning, Mr. Depp set out to try this case as domestic relations dispute he wished he had tried rather than settled in 2016. Mr. Depp's counsel argued through the trial that the issues before the jury began 6 years ago when Ms. Heard obtained a DV temporary restraining order against Mr. Depp. Mr. Depp and his legal team told the jury they were seeking to restore Mr. Depp's reputation and his legacy for his children. This was the first time Mr. Depp has been able to tell his story. I'm sorry, we heard all of this. You pleaded all of this. And the jury said, Amber Heard is a liar. We don't believe a word she says after hearing all of the evidence. And then you just get into each and every aspect. The damages awarded by the jury are unsupported by the evidence and the law. And they go and say, he didn't prove that he suffered $10 million in damages. It wasn't clear he was going to get another Pirates of the Caribbean. Yada, yada, yada. Re-arguing it. The jury's compensatory and punitive damages awards were excessive as a matter of law. Yeah, that's why the judge reduced them to the legal limits as far as punitive damages goes. Mr. Depp is not entitled to damages for any conduct prior to the op-ed. You argued that. That's not how it works. This is not a disguised appeal, by the way, although they're going to treat it as that. Mr. Depp is not entitled to damages for alternative causes, including the Sun publication, the ensuing litigation, yada, yada. All of it was argued. I'm going to spare everybody who's not interested in this the pain of going through this. Effectively, it's nothing more than rereading or reading a reiteration of their closing arguments. There is no support for the conclusion that Ms. Heard intentionally made or published the headline. Oh, the jury disagreed. Oh, okay, but forget it. Let's just get to the juror one, which is the only interesting part. Which is the only interesting part of this entire word salad of emotion. The court should conduct an investigation of juror number 15 and whether jury service was proper and due process was protected. This stems from the fact that apparently the juror is not as old as the date of birth indicated on the juror form. The court should investigate whether juror 15 properly served on the jury. On the juror panel list sent to counsel before voir dire, the court noted that the individual who would later be designated juror number 15 had a birth year of 1945. Juror 15, however, was clearly born later than 1945. Publicly available information demonstrates that he appears to be born in 1970. The discrepancy raises questions whether juror 15 actually received a summons for jury duty and was properly vetted by the court to serve on the jury. That's very interesting. Part of me says it could just be a typo. Part of me says that if juror 15, if this was determinable before and not discovered before, then maybe they've waived that option, or maybe they've waived that right to raise it as an issue now. To the extent that the individual who served as juror 15 was not in fact the same individual on the veneer, or that the court's clerk's office did not verify his identity, Ms. Heard's due process was compromised. Or it's a totally innocuous typo and grasping at straws to find any reason to try to overturn the fact that Amber Heard just went from having a net worth of $9 million to having a net worth of negative, according to Celebrity Net Worth. So that's the latest in the Johnny Depp. It's so stupid, but my goodness, Amber Heard doesn't have enough money to pay the award, but she certainly has enough money to continue carrying on with this